viewers, we are now in the midst of the second wave of coronavirus. It has been very destructive and it's been spreading pretty fast. Now there is increasing evidence that it is our destructive relationship with nature that is behind this coronavirus. Environment is closely linked. It has now been shown that over 30% of the diseases, including pandemics, have come because of the change in land use. Let's take the example of coronavirus itself. The evidence now shows that it might have come through bats, because bats have huge reservoir of viruses that is very peculiar to the species. Now, what exactly happened in China was that Wuhan, the place from where the virus seems to have originated, was a dense forest land full of hills, full of trees, and these were the colonies of wildlife, especially bats. Now, what China did was, in order to improve, or in order to keep pace with the economic activities and improve their economy, they destroyed the trees, they cut through forests and created roads and high-speed railway lines. So what happened was the bats didn't have the colonies that they were actually familiar with, and they flew out, they flew in, and it is suspected that these bats might have reached the wet market in Wuhan for trading. And mind you, there is a lot of increase in wet trading in China, animals being traded in wet markets. It should the virus, rather the bats would have either taken some fruit and people would have consumed it and then come to Wuhan and the virus must have spread, or it must have come through bats themselves, or the bats would have given this to another species which would have been caught and traded in Wuhan. This is the problem everywhere, that we are destroying forests, we are destroying land, and this is why the pandemic is coming. Mind you, scientists now say that this is not a one-off pandemic. We are going to have almost 5 new diseases in the world if we continue changing land use, if we continue changing the forest lands, and if we continue destroying nature. Even in India, the Nipah virus seems to have come through bats in Perambra in Kozhikode district in Kerala. There also what happened was people started encroaching into forest lands. The bats didn't have their colonies, and so they came closer home, and this is how the virus jumped from bats to human beings. This is increasingly happening in a lot of other animals also. Animals were supposed to live separately in forest lands or other areas. Now what we are doing is we are bringing the animals home. There is an increase in demand for beef, so we are bringing the buffaloes and cows home. There is an increasing demand from fashion industry for fur in winter, so we are bringing those animals closer to us. There is an increase in poultry demand, so we are having all these things right in our home. And so what happens is that this virus that are peculiar to these animals jump to human beings, and the spread is pretty fast. And once these viruses come to human beings, because of its nature, they mutate very fast, and that's how we have a lot of mutated version of the coronavirus also coming through. So unless and until we change our mentality or attitude towards nature and demarcate areas for wildlife separately and for human beings separately, we are going to have an increase in pandemics. And the more pandemics that will come, that it is bound to destroy not only our lives but also our economy. It is better that we put a break over here, respect nature, respect environment, leave a separate space for animals and species like bats, so that these colonies are not destroyed, they have their own place to live in, and it doesn't jump to human beings. Nature has designed this planet in such a way that we have demarcated areas for animals, for fish, for human beings and others. Let us respect that rule of nature if we have to prevent pandemics. In this episode we discuss this, but in the next episode we'll discuss who is responsible, or why is this destruction happening of nature and forest use or land use. So till then, goodbye.